Took the best one, obviously, since it's going to be my car for a while. Got that. What she said.
So one more minute. They're coming out. When you say they use a one cheater? Yeah, give him one direct.
Oh, that one's just fine. Yeah. Oh, yes, you're going.
Yeah, those are very.
We will bring you that stream when it is back online. So as of right now, it's me, you, and this Dairy Delight cheeseburger. Chad Reed was recently gunned down down in Lubbock, Texas. It was in regards to a custody exchange. The individual who shot him, Kyle Carruth, to my understanding, is still walking free to this day, and there had not been charges officially filed in the matter. It's also my understanding that the state's attorney recused himself in the matter. There's a conflict of interest due to Kyle Carruth, I believe, and a judge there in that county. And so there's some conflict of interest that exists, and we're trying to get more specifics and details, which is why, of course, we are tuned into this press conference today. That's what we're working on. Month of December, it is one of the significant domestic violence months against non-custodial parents, both mothers and fathers, seeking to exercise their natural rights and oftentimes legally binding court documents to exercise their lawful parenting time. And maybe here we got any audio.
Podium setup is a little
There
bit
we go.
weird to me.
I'll mute my mic here as we get ready to do this.
All right, we ready? I wish I had a podium, but Okay, this is Jennifer Reed. Jennifer is the widow of Chad Reed. Jennifer will not be answering questions, but she will have a brief statement that she would like to read. Now, as you know, there's been a lot of information and a lot of misinformation surrounding the shooting of Chad Reed. We filed a wrongful death lawsuit against Kyle Carruth and the companies that he is involved in. And because there's been no action from the authorities related to what happened on November 5th, that's why we filed. That lawsuit, I believe, has led to some action. And we have copies of the most recent lawsuit that we've amended that we will make available to everyone who wants a copy. Now, let's be clear about what happened on November 5th. Chad Reed was supposed to have custody of his son that day. He was supposed to have custody beginning around 3 p.m. Chad had exchanged multiple texts with his ex-wife, Christina. We have those texts. We know exactly what she said to him and what he said to her. Chad was simply trying to determine his son's whereabouts. Christina purposely did not tell Chad where his son was. His son had been sick. Chad was trying to figure out whether he had went to school, where the young man was, and where he could be picked up. Christina purposely did not tell him, although she did tell him she was at work. Christina was using her kids to take out her aggression against her ex-husband. Too many times we see fathers and mothers who share custody, who use innocent kids as pawns in an unnecessary struggle. Christina worked at 2104 90th Street right here in Lubbock, Texas. That property is owned by Johnny Bob Carruth, Kyle Carruth's father. According to the Secretary of State, from that address, at least 3 businesses operate. Those businesses have been sued in this lawsuit. Chad and Jennifer stopped by his ex-wife's place of business. The only reason he went by there, the only reason they went by there, was to see if his son was there and to pick up his son. He went there looking for his son because his ex-wife would not tell him where his son was. He didn't go looking for a fight. He didn't go looking for an argument. And he didn't take a weapon. While at his wife's place of business, the two argued. We've all seen the video. Chad Reed was not violent. I want you to look carefully at that video. Chad Reed kept quite a distance between himself and his ex-wife. His ex-wife wasn't violent. Chad didn't have a gun. His ex-wife didn't have a gun. They simply argued as exes sometimes do. It happens every single minute of every single hour of every single day across the state of Texas and across the United States. But for whatever reason, Kyle Carruth decided to go back into his house and get a weapon. He even says, he doesn't say when he walks into the house, I'm in danger, you're taking my property, you're stealing from, nothing like that. All he said was, get off my property. And he leaves and he returns with a weapon. Kyle Carruth made a decision to come outside and then interject himself into a conversation that he had no part of with a weapon. We believe that decision was unreasonable and that decision was negligent. Kyle Carruth then began to argue with Chad Reed and then shot the weapon at Chad Reed's feet. That also was unreasonable, irresponsible, and negligent. We also believe that to be an aggravated assault. Completely unnecessary and needless. I have been shot at before. I've had people point weapons at me before. I can tell you, you have really one of two choices. You can either try to defend yourself or you can run. The two men struggled. They separated. They were more than 3 feet apart And Kyle Caruth shot and killed Chad Reed right there at that very spot. That also was unreasonable, irresponsible, and negligent. Chad Reed died at that address. After the shooting, the shooter did not render aid. Instead, he stood there and said, as Chad was either dying or was already dead, he stood there and said, "I told you to get off my property." He didn't say, "Oh, I shot because I was in danger of my life. I shot because I thought he was going to hurt me. I shot because I was in some sort of fear." No. He simply said, "I told you so. I told y'all to leave." That doesn't sound like somebody that was in fear of their lives. It doesn't sound like somebody who was acting in self-defense. I want you to look very carefully at that video. Look at what Kyle Caruth said before he went and got that weapon, and look at what he said after he pulled the trigger. That tells the tale about whether there is so-called self-defense in this case. Chad Reed's death was needless. The whole evolution that day was unnecessary. But here's the part that makes one shake their head and wonder. People all over the state of Texas and all over the United States are having the same reaction. Why wasn't that man arrested? Why wasn't that man arrested? The rules are very clear across the United States. The rules are very clear in most police departments across the country. When there's a shooting and a death, an arrest is made, period. No arrest was made here. Very few people were even questioned. The man who pulled the trigger and killed Chad Reed is still walking around in this community. You know what his biggest concern was after killing Chad Reed? What concessions are we going to bring to the kids' game? You'll learn about that as this case progresses. Kyle Caruth's going around this community as if nothing happened. He shot and killed a man, a father of two sons, a loved husband. He's walking around as if nothing happened. And the entire police department, with few exceptions, has recused itself. We had fits trying to figure out where the gun was. We had to ask 3 or 4 different people, where is the weapon that killed Chad Reed? Where is the? We just found out this morning that now we're told that, oh, the evidence, the weapon that killed that man is in an evidence locker. This family has a right to know these answers. The entire district attorney's office has recused itself. Sua sponte recused itself. We don't even have a judge in this case. The best we have is we're told the 9th Administrative Judicial District is going to appoint a judge sometime next week. How do you think that makes Jennifer Reed feel? Because of this lawsuit, the Attorney General's office is now investigating. This case has been referred to the Attorney General's office. I've had conversations with the Attorney General himself, and he assures me that this is going to be thoroughly investigated, and if charges are warranted, that they will be brought. I'm going to hold him to that. Jennifer's going to hold him to that. I've been told that the investigators and the DA are the attorneys from the AG's office who are assigned to this case are some of the best that the AG's office has to offer. I expect them to do their jobs. There's certain legal principles in criminal law. There's something called provoking the difficulty. You cannot interject violence into a situation and then claim self-defense. It's not the way it works. You cannot provoke violence and then claim self-defense. You cannot assault someone and then when they react, claim self-defense. Shooting a weapon in the direction of an individual is an assault. You cannot assault someone and then turn around and claim self-defense. Under the civil law, everyone has an obligation to act reasonably. Everyone has an obligation to act responsibly. It is unreasonable and irresponsible to interject yourself into a conversation that you have no business being a part of. It's irresponsible and negligent for you to leave, go into a structure, and return with a weapon and interject yourself into an argument that you have no part of. It's irresponsible for you to shoot a weapon in the direction of someone else who is unarmed, who is not moving towards you. We'll prove in the case, and I think it'll be pretty easy to prove, that Kyle Carruth's actions that day were unreasonable and irresponsible. Let me say a word for the people that own weapons, that own guns across the state of Texas. If you're like me and you lawfully own a weapon and you're responsible with that weapon, you watch that video, you probably have the same reaction I had. That person with that weapon was not acting responsibly, was not acting reasonably. There's no need for any of this. We support the right to bear arms. We support the right to reasonably use those weapons and guns and so forth. No one can support what happened on that day. Chad Reed died unnecessarily. Now here's what we need from you. We are calling on anyone who has knowledge of this situation to come forward. We are calling on anyone who has knowledge of this situation to come forward, and that includes Kyle Carruth's relationships with others that might impact what happened on November 5th. If you have evidence, no matter how small, we want to have it. We're easy to find. If you have texts with Kyle Carruth or any of his relatives, we want them. We believe that there was animosity on the part of Kyle Carruth against Chad Reed that existed long before November 5th. We believe that there were things said by the perpetrator, Kyle Carruth, long before November 5th about Chad Reed. If you have information or evidence that pertain to interactions with Kyle Carruth, anything he said about Chad Reed or the situation of Chad Reed's marriage, we want that. Specifically, we want the texts because we know they exist. As I've said, we're calling on the AG's office to fully investigate this matter vigorously. And we ask that charges be brought if appropriate. We want action. I think it's pretty clear this family is grieving. They are suffering. They deserve justice. So far, they've gotten nothing. Jennifer Reed watched her unarmed husband get gunned down and killed in front of her eyes. We want action. We have a very short statement that Jennifer's going to read. She won't take questions, but I will once she's done. Matt, would you take that for me? Can you do it? Yeah.
My name is Jennifer Reed. I'm blessed to be a Reed now. And Chad had 2 sons and also a daughter that was not there at the time, but she goes to College Station. Chad Reed is my husband. He was a good husband, and I loved him more than anything in this world. We only went there to try and find his son, who we thought who would be there. Chad was not a violent man. He did not have a gun. I saw Kyle Carruth shoot and kill my husband. Kyle Carruth has not been arrested. Please, I ask the police to take action. I ask the Attorney General's office to take action. I want justice for my husband, Chad Reed.
Take a few questions. If you have, yeah. Go ahead.
Why has justice been delayed in this case?
I want you to ask the police department that, and I want you to insist upon an answer. And then I want you to encourage the AG's office to prosecute if necessary. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
We saw an investigator at the courthouse from the AG's office on Friday. Can you explain why they were there?
You can ask them why. I can tell you what they did here in Lubbock last week. We've been talking to them, as you know. They interviewed Jennifer briefly. How long did that last? A couple hours, maybe?
Maybe.
Yeah. So they came here to, I'm assuming they're interfacing with the police, whoever has the evidence, and they wanted to talk to Jennifer. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Do you believe, based on the facts of the case, and you've seen them, that Chad Reed's former wife, Christina, should be charges brought against her as either a co-conspirator or an accomplice in the murder of Chad Reed?
I'll let the AG's office decide that. Anybody else?
I
Yes,
was just wondering if there was any concern that publicizing, his publicity of this case is going to jeopardize any sort of investigation.
Can you turn the volume up any, CJ?
I mean, I think that that the more light you shine on a situation, the more likely it is you're going to get action.
And anything else about the potential failure to stop and render aid that may come to light?
We don't know that yet. We're going to know more when we get the official reports. Okay, guys, thank you very much. Thank you for coming. We'll keep you updated as the case progresses. Thanks. Let's go back that way.
Really surprised here that I'm really surprised here that the council here did not invoke the Texas statutes or penal codes, citing that a felony in progress, right? Parental or custodial interference. It's known by different things, but we all know it to be just like what Chad Reed was going through. A non-custodial parent goes to exercise their parenting time, and the custodial parent decides they're going to play games with the non-custodial parent's time with their children. And it's not a game, because it comes down to circumstances like this where now emotions are such heightened that something tragic unfolds. And of course, Chad Reed being in his position, it's understandable, as I've been there many times over myself, and charges, even though I filed several police reports in my own case, and I know several of us have, the men and women I work alongside, custody interference is something that is not enforced across America, though most states have some form of a criminal statute in place. It is not enforced, and most states or AG offices, they don't pursue it. States attorneys' offices, they don't pursue it. Prosecuting attorneys, they don't. It's largely unpursued and allowed to happen over and over and over. And it is the repetitive harm done to a person and to their children that causes such extreme agitation, because what's being vocalized is the pain, right? The frustration, the anxiety of missing their kids and they shouldn't have to, wondering where their children are at and they should not have to. They have a natural right. Non-custodial does not mean less than custodial parent. The notion that because you don't have full custody and you only get every other weekend, this has become a national norm for millions of parents. Tens of millions of mothers and fathers out there who have to go year after year, holiday after holiday, wondering, are they going to play games with my life again? Are they going to play games with our children's lives again? Knowing full well, getting any sort of justice in front of a family law judge is nearly impossible. These courts hold the lowest evidentiary standards in American jurisprudence when exercising their decisions in what's in the best interest of your child. Now, do you really want our nation to continue to use the lowest standard of evidence to decide if and when you can ever see your child again? I, for one, do not. The days of fathers and mothers being gunned down at a custody exchange and having their children illegally deprived from them, oftentimes so that attorneys can drive contentious litigation and continue to bilk the parents for untold amounts of money in each individual case, they too are liable. if the attorneys in the matter created the conflict to allow this to build and to unfold, they have culpability in this. To what extent, I have no idea. This attorney who was at the press conference, I don't believe he has anything to do with the family law case matters at hand. I believe that was an attorney that was hired by Chad Reed's wife, who was, you saw, present there at the press conference. She only spoke a few words. Very understandable. I can't imagine how difficult it must be to hold her composure. I myself, just hearing and seeing what's transpiring, can get emotional. There's children out there everywhere not seeing their parents and being used as a pawn in a sick and twisted game to hurt another parent or person. And the child's being used as the fulcrum to do this. It's unnecessary. It's uncalled for. And this is domestic violence against parents. In this case, this is domestic violence against men. It's domestic violence against the children. It's domestic violence against Mrs. Reed here. That's her husband who is gone, and children who have a father that they'll never see again. Chris Cole, hey man, appreciate you. Thank you for being in contact there with Jennifer Reed. Chris Cole, father out of North Carolina, also experiencing the weight of family court. Claudia, thank you so much for your diligent efforts in getting us this type of information. Texas Penal Code 225.03. Thank you very much, Claudia. Your assistance is invaluable right now. So yeah, parents need to ask the police department and the AG why the mom has not been charged with that felony. Yes, wholeheartedly agree. If we're able to, let's get up the number to the Lubbock AG's office, as well as the Lubbock Police Department, so that people can, we can get those numbers out and distributed people. Let's call and look, we need to strongly urge them to conduct this investigation, to file those charges. If he was supposed to have his child at 3 p.m. or thereabouts, and they were withholding that child, Ted Bush, great question there. I didn't realize this. This is up in Lake County, Illinois, where my case is at. While the Lake County Sheriff's Office is investigating their, quote, security breach, end quote, how much time do you think they're spending investigating Julia Patton for committing perjury on that video? Probably none, if I had to guess, Ted. As we know full well, once they determine you're the non-custodial parent, oftentimes that also means you get second-class citizen treatment. Once they've determined you are not the custodial parent, you do not have full custody, you are now looked at by law enforcement, by attorneys, by the judicial system as being a second-class parent. And we're fed up with being treated like we're second-class people. You cannot simultaneously expect us to provide for children you deny us lawful, meaningful access to. Those days are ending. Veteran Liberty Network, the men and women I work alongside, and those of you out there like James Kelly are fighting the good fight. And we must fight harder. Thank you, Claudia. She's down in Texas. One of our team members here giving us a hand today. 1-800-675-2865. Let's do this in real time, folks, and let's see how we do this. You simply pick up your nearest phone. I happen to have one available here. I got 5% battery left on this device that I'm doing this stream from. And we're going to call right now the Lubbock Police Department.
Robin.
Yes, good afternoon, Robin. My name is Cash Jackson. I am an investigative reporter with the Veteran Liberty Network, and we're calling to see if we can get some comments about the Chad Reed case that's ongoing. And we're wanting to know why no charges have yet been filed against Chad Reed's ex-wife for the felony that it appears she was committing in withholding his child from him. Is there a public affairs officer that can make a public comment to that?
You can call 775-2817.
2817. And may I ask, is there a name there that I should ask for?
That's the desk.
Okay, and you said that's 2817?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much for your time today, ma'am.
Bye-bye.
2817. Let's try this again.
To speak to a customer service representative, please hang up.
That was wrong. That popped up Dominican Republic. Let's try this one more time. I might have messed it up good now. Hold on. It's Lubbock, Texas.
Hello, Cisco Unity Connection Messaging System. From a touch-tone telephone, you may dial an extension at any time. For a directory of extensions, press 4. Otherwise, please hold for an operator. Sorry, the operator is not available. Record your message at the tone. When you are finished, hang up or press pound for more options.
Good afternoon. My name is Cass Jackson. I'm an investigative journalist with the Veteran Liberty Network. Calling to speak with the public affairs officer, if there is one available, seeking some public comment on the Chad Reed case and why his ex-wife Christina has not been charged with a felony. If you would, please give me a call back at 479-847-0224. Thank you and have a great day. Okay, and we're going to follow up with that. And I have no doubt that as the days unfold, that we're going to find out a lot more about this. They are seeking information from Kyle Caruth's network and from the community there, that if there's information, knowledge exchanged about Kyle Caruth's dealings with Chad Reed, I would probably agree with this attorney that this has been something that has potentially been building, and we say potentially because we don't know. And I have to make sure that I'm putting myself in the position of journalist and not the non-custodial parent who's lived this. That's a hard place to be in for anyone aspiring in journalism to talk about these issues. And while we have an intimate familiarity with how this goes and what it feels like, we must also be composed enough to withdraw our own personal biases and emotions in this and make sure that we approach this with our principles and virtues intact. And that's not to circumvent the law, it's to uphold the law. And in this case, thank you, Claudia. Allison Matherly is the Public Information Officer for Lubbock PD. And so we're going to see if we can raise some comments from her here later in the day. Look for that this evening, and we'll get it posted up on Veteran Liberty Network platforms as well as our Facebook page. So with that being said, thank you for tuning in to the press conference and being here with Veteran Liberty Network as we follow this case. Thank you and have a wonderful day. I believe CJ will exit us stage right, and y'all be safe out there.